Well, here we are on April 6th. I've got some little tune-up stuff to do. In our last video, I was cutting out these two pieces of quarter sawn white oak to make the keel. And at this point, I'm going to use a bag steaming method that I actually learned from tips from a shipwright on YouTube, where you take plastic bag and wrap the ends of these boards in it and then run your steam in there, rather than trying to use the steam box. These boards are 12 feet long, they're just not going to fit in there. As you can see, maybe you can see, there's two separate boards here, and I got them this way on purpose. I thought it would be easier to steam them and bend them. This thickness of the keel calls for 1 3/8. So these boards are both 11/16 thick. And we were very successful at getting these cut out, and we've got the center board slot cut in here so that it fits pretty snugly up. So you can see this one post here coming up from the center board trunk. And of course these are laying on the bed logs. So now I'm getting to a point where I'm thinking, okay, how do I get this thing faired out to where the planking is going to lie right on here? And I've noticed a couple of little issues. And here's one here. You can see I've got this batten just clamped on here on these frames. If you look carefully on number 9 here, you see how that batten's not laying down right on the frame. There's probably, maybe 1/8 of an inch there. I had the same thing going on over here. I've got some of these little strips that were just left over from when I cut these, when I cut the frames out. See, I got the same thing going on there. Now that's not clamped on there tight, but you can see that there's a gap in there. So I've got some of these little shims, they're just pieces of oak that were left over. I've got tons of little scraps of it back down underneath this table. Every time I cut something, I just throw it underneath there. It's kind of a hodgepodge under there. Here's another little piece right here. It's a very thin strip. So what I'm going to do, there's the sailing ship. What I'm going to do is, you saw how I had those, I'm going to shim those up in there. And I think I'm just going to take some wood glue and put up in there and get those up in there to where they're, let that batten lay fair. We've got a little issue here with the front end of this. Here you can see one of these keels. See, I can bend this a little bit just by hand, but I want to get it steamed so that when it's bent, it doesn't have so much reflex to it. I want to get it to where it's closer to where it's supposed to be and stay. I could probably bend that down there. You can see where that slot is. This is a little bit long. Better long than short. I look on the other side here. This batten runs pretty fair on here, but I think you can even see if you look toward the back there, and I'm going to head toward it. See that bump? See how it dips down in there? Right there. You can even see right there how it's dipped down. Now on this one, it's just like the frame's just not in the right spot, or it's not quite tall enough or something. I think I'm going to take and just come all the way down to the bottom where I've got it screwed down on the bottom here. I think I'm just going to shim that underneath there with this little piece of wood and just raise that whole frame up. Oh, not too much. It only needs to come up maybe 1/4 inch. But I'm pretty sure I got the same issue on the other side. At this point I've got the transom on here, but I've just got it laying on the, resting on the back on the form that I made for it to sit on, and that stern knee looks like it's going to be just right. That's not attached to the transom yet either. But then see the keel will lay back down right on top of that stern knee and onto the back edge of that transom. So it looks like the bevel's pretty good on there as far as how that planking is going to need to come and run back to that. So there's just some fine tuning to do. And these bed logs underneath here, those are going to have to be planed down just a little bit. I actually bought an angled grinder. I've never had one before, but I think as hard as that white oak is, that's what it's going to take. It's just little places. It all's just got to be faired out. You look up here at the front of the bed log, see how that's sticking up above the frame? That's got to be planed off of there. We'll take that down so that when we go to put the planking on there, it should just lay fair on there. So overall, it's coming. I drilled my first hole through a timber here. You got this hole coming down through the stem, and it goes clear down through this frame, clear to the bottom underneath there. I've got a bolts, I don't know, about 8 inches it's going to go in there, and that's the first one. I haven't put it in there yet because I need to get some 5200. I want to make sure and have that bedded out because this will actually be exposed to the water here. So we're making some progress. I'm waiting on the nylon bag that I ordered to come in so we can do this, and maybe we'll get this keel steamed and bent a little bit this weekend. All right, more later.